have a little bun friend. I have a little bunny friend. I'm very excited about him. Or her. I actually don't know. I don't know that I know what gender pronouns this bunny prefers. I don't know. But I brought my little friend over here because I wasn't sure what to do with the thumbnail because I wanted something that was like that alluded to the ST, but also had the little NF happy thing going on. So I settled on little bun friend. They may come back. Who knows? We don't know where this video is going to go. So stay tuned to find out. I know I will be. All right. So today we are talking about vibe check. This came up in the After Dark group because of a post that I made a while ago. Anyway, there are lots of not after dark, very daytime applications to this idea of like doing a vibe check that are really, really useful, especially to those of us who have Savior ST, and especially those of us who have NF last. So I'm going to sort of define my own terms here. This is not like an officially sanctioned thing, coin, whatever in OP land. This is something that I have observed when it comes to like people who I guess are sort of naturally attuned to this versus people who have to work at it a little harder. Versus what all the different flavors can sort of amount to. So we're going to get into it. So I want to mostly focus on sort of the ST-NF binary coin when we're talking about this vibe check. So what a vibe check is it's in practice, it really is nothing more than asking somebody, how are you really doing? Right? Because, we're at work, we're whatever. Everybody says, hey, how's it going? Oh, hanging in there, just doing my job. And we have these sort of social pleasantries, right? That don't actually, they may serve an SF function, but I see them particularly in the workplace as serving a very clear ST function. Because the goal of pleasantries and of small talk and of, hey, how's your weekend? Oh, went to the driving range, just hit it around a bit. Oh, great. Well, I'm working on that project you asked me about. So if you need me, holler. Okay, bye. Right? There's not actually any value to that conversation, right? It is simply a way, mechanically, for two people to acknowledge that they are in the same space together and that it's like, oh, hey, I'm at work, you're at work, great. We have checked in with each other, and now we're just going to go do whatever it is that we do, right? That's not really a vibe check. That is that is the equivalent of, hey, I need to signal to my boss that I have arrived and also that I'm not an asshole. That's it. That is all that conversation does. And again, I say this as somebody who has had that conversation many times from the subordinate position and many times from the authority position. It is important for both people on an ST level to be like, oh, right. Yes, this is great. That person is here. But underneath all of that, that's where you get the NF vibe check. And if somebody's really good at this, you can use this sort of small talk to be able to sort of intuit through body language, tone of voice, general ineffable demeanor, how their day is really going. And so for me, as somebody who is in a position, finds himself in positions of authority, not infrequently, it's really, really, really important that I learn how to do the NF vibe check, right? Because the ST information that's being given to me may belie a more tumultuous NF inner world, whatever going on, right? So, for instance, if I say to somebody, person walks in, and they have a project that I asked them to do, and I have my meeting at 2:00, so I need it from them by noon. And I say, "Hey, Bill, how's it going?" Bill says, "Oh, just doing the thing, just chipping away, another day at work." I'm like, "Oh, okay, great, yeah. Don't forget, I have that meeting at 2, so I'm going to need that report sometime around noon. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help." And he's like, "Whew, all right, yep, I will get on that." Okay, well, right away, there is a lot of non-ST information that is being conveyed, right? I can't pinpoint it. I can't say, "Oh, well, he had a rising inflection and then a dipping inflection and then the boop and the..." No. You can't ST mechanics robot reporter it out. But Bill is very clearly having a rough day. So then when I hear that, what I can say is, listen, if there's something that you need me for, I am happy to help. I'm free all morning. I'll tell you what, I got one thing I got to finish up. Is it all right if I stop by your desk at like 10-ish? And then we can talk about whatever's going on, right? Whatever it may be. And then hopefully Bill will say, "Yeah, that would be great. I am having a morning. I'm having a morning." And then it's my job as the person in position of authority to be like, "Totally get it, man. I'll see you at 10. We'll hash this out. Maybe I can take some of this off your plate. Maybe I can just clear up any anxiety you have around this, maybe clarify some things so that you can knock it out in time." And I'll tell you what, if you get it to me by 1, I need it by 1 for sure. But noon, you got to push it to 1, not the end of the world, right? All of the things I'm doing in response to the vibe check are very ST. They are very great. Let's meet at this time and let's hash out whatever questions you may have. Let's clarify your whatever. Let me enable you to be able to meet this concrete deadline. And in fact, let me push this temporal deadline later so that you have a better chance of clearing, right? All of that's just ST reporter robot shit. That's what I love doing all day, right? It's just logistics. It's just mechanics. It's just the transaction of what is happening. And I think that really sort of speaks to a larger point about ST in general. ST is stupid good at transactions. It's so good at transactions, especially when there is any sort of financial component, time component, competition, like anything that's quantifiable, which is why, I hate to bring them up in this video, but it's a very, real point. Donald Trump, one of the key indicators that he is savior ST. Again, there's some debate in the community as to whether he's SETE or TESE or TISE or whatever. Doesn't matter. Very clearly, provably, inarguably, ST. Because, and you hear that in his language, and you see that in his life, he's very, very, very good in a lot of ways at prioritizing the sort of mechanicsy, take $1 and turn it into 2 kind of thing. Now, the way that he goes about it, obviously not super ethical. And, there's lots and lots of evidence that he has lots of other people supporting him. So like, again, it isn't all coming from him, but in terms of what he feels responsible for, he very clearly feels responsible for this sort of mechanics make as many of the best transactions that you can in order to gain power, gain leverage, gain respect, gain prestige, whatever it is. But he's really focused on those mechanics, right? And on those transactions, and always coming out ahead in any given deal. NF, from what I can tell, and I've tried to look at this in as many different permutations to make sure it isn't like just my NF sleep, or maybe double masculine, or maybe this, maybe that. NF, from everything that I have seen in all the different permutations, doesn't really care about coming out ahead. Not really. There's going to be different flavors of it, absolutely, in the demon swings and this and that. But like, NF is kind of hippy-dippy, kumbaya, we're all in this together. Let's all be, happy idiots together, right? Let's not care about, what the transaction is. I don't care if, to use an Animal Crossing reference, right? So it's like, my island on this Sunday, because today's a Sunday, my island is selling turnips for 110 bells, and somebody in my little tiny Discord group is selling it for 91 bells, right? So now look, I got 10 million bells. I don't really give a shit about money. But in this case, I'm like, I think that like ordinarily I wouldn't care, and I don't want to impose on the other people, and it's a hat, right? Whatever. I just want everybody to like, whatever, it's fine, be happy, do the thing. Like, I get my turnips, you get your turnips, whatever. But this time I was like, you know what? The kumbaya approach, like, that's a significant difference. Like 20 bell, it's a 20 bell difference. And I'm buying 3,900 of them. Like, that gets out of hand really fast, right? But the NF part of me is like, usually I don't give a shit, right? Usually I'm able to tap into my NF and I'm able to go, you know what? It'll all come out in the wash. And maybe that's even a way to think of NF. I'm trying to think of like truly universal ways to think of this NF side of this transaction coin. And I think that it really is that. It's this idea of like, it'll all come out in the wash. At the end of the day, we're all going to be on the same page. It's all going to work itself out. We're all in this together, right? And you hear that a lot in Dave's language for sure, especially with his super, super long view of humanity. You can hear Shannon with her NF third being able to sort of tap into, again, she lead ST, but she's got the NF third. So you're going to see that like, okay, yeah, it's, there is going to be that a little more ease of access to that, right? To that sort of it's not kumbaya happy necessarily, but kumbaya in the sense of like, like these transactions just don't matter, man. Like, money is fake. What even is time? Right? Like, you're going to get into that realm, right? When you get away from these transactions. And when you're in that realm, now I think you can start to see this idea of like where this vibe check comes. And the vibe check really is just asking, okay, taking away all of the transactional elements of a particular interaction, how are we doing? Are we in harmony? Like, how's the chi? Right? Are we on the same page? Because if we're not, like, I want us to get us on the same page. Like, I want everybody to be in the room together and like vibe in the same vibe and like emotionally settled. And like, whatever, the transaction, the mechanics, that'll work itself out. Like, it's all good, man. Like, I want this abstract, ineffable feeling of happiness, right? That's what we're really going for here, right? So here's the thing. When you're ST, again, whether it is ST Consume, ST Play, ST Blast, ST Sleep, does not matter. I think that it's fair to say that ST is at least attuned to and feels responsible for the transactional nature of things, right? It cares about the transactional element. It cares that, like, you give me this in exchange for this, and this has to at least be fair, or if it's not fair, then it's like, well, then, you know, again, the opportunistic ones are like, I'm trying to come out ahead on every transaction. Like, I need to come out ahead a little bit in order to increase my profit margin, because then over time, right, on this one deal, if I come out $1 ahead, right, now I'm $1 ahead. And if I come out $1 ahead on the next deal, now I'm $2 ahead, and 3, then 4, then 5, right? And it really is playing that bean counting game, which to an NF person is like abhorrent. Like, oh my God, calm the fuck down, you goddamn sociopath. The NF doesn't really care about that. Like, the NF will pay a premium just to have a better feeling experience, right? I will pay more money for an apartment because I like the view. I will pay more money to go to a grocery store that's less crowded because I feel less stressed going there, right? Again, I am not Savior NF at all. I am double activated on my ST Play, but I'm aware of my NF at this point in my life. Fucking hope I should be. And those are the kinds of decisions that I'm making, right? It is explicitly sacrificing the transactional element for a better feeling-y, vibey experience, right? And that can be a really tough thing for an ST to wrap their head around. And one of the reasons that I did so well in New York for so long and then burned out so hard as a result of that is that New York is a hardcore ST city. It is fucking ST to the max. And I thrived there for 10 years. Well, I would say that I thrived for 8-ish of those years. But I was there for 10 of them. And what happened was, in those first 8, right, because I have Savior ST, double activated Savior ST, but my SE is at the bottom of my function stack. So doing the New York thing meant that I was playing to my Savior and my Demon at the same time. Now I'm thriving. Now I'm fucking kicking ass. And it's amazing. So I was able to really, really, really do well for myself in a lot of ways because I was still growing. That the part of my psyche that's really good at transactions and good at feeling responsible for them, but bad at actually executing them. And so I needed to build that masculine SE muscle at the bottom of my function stack to understand this concept of incremental gains, the transaction between what I pay in dollars to go to the gym versus how much I use the gym versus how many gains I get relative to how much time and money I spend at the gym, right? It's just resource management. Which again, I'm really good at feeling responsible for, but I needed to actually build the masculine sensory muscle that was responsible for actually doing the thing. And it was amazing. And then once I sort of maxed out my ST, it was like, oh, fuck. All of the NF stuff is just not here for me. Like, I'm not NF happy on the East Coast. Like, I'm not. Because I think that there is a part of it. Now, again, part of it is my parents live in New Mexico, right? So I want to be closer to them. My parents are getting older. There's like a number of, again, ST mechanical things that are more convenient about living sort of Dallas or west, right? That makes my life very, very easy in a lot of ways. But like, really what it came down to is I had maxed out on my ST. And when I finally did this vibe check of like, you know what? I think I kind of topped out here. Like, I'm not sure what else New York can really offer me at this point in my life. And then I sort of looked around. I was like, let me do a vibe check. Let me see how the mood. Oh my God. Okay, well, that's a very toxic relationship. That needs to go away. Okay, great. We're going to put a pin in that. Let's make sure that that is the most toxic thing in my life. Let me check this out. Oh my God, that's toxic too? All right, vibe check. How much fucking toxicity am I surrounded by? Holy shit. And that's what happened, is that finally I did this vibe check. And, you know, there's a metaphor in The Sopranos, which again, I feel like half of these videos is me just chronicling my TV habits for, you know, future down the line. They're going to be like, oh yeah, this is what Raja was watching in May of 2020. But there's a metaphor in there about, there's like a picture and it's like a tree that's like rotted out from the inside. And that's sort of, again, because I have NIFI sleep, that is sort of how I feel it. That's how I interpret it. That's how I'm aware of it. Again, one of the big reasons I like The Sopranos, and I find it so goddamn compelling, is that based on my typing, Tony Soprano and I both have NF sleep last, and are doubling up on our ST play with masculine SE. Like, we're not that similar, but we are not that far apart. We're not that far apart. Anyway, all of that is to say, once I finally did the NF vibe check, I was like, holy shit, this is really bad. Oh, fuck. And then, of course, my ST brain was like, okay, it's okay. I can fix it. Okay, Hugh Crane, calm down. No, you can't. This shit's been rotting from the inside for like years and years. Like, for the past you got 4 years of rot that you got to deal with. That just not going away in the amount of time it needs to. Like, I was sort of on two parallel timelines, right? It was the timeline of, this is how long it will take to fix the problem. This is how long I can stay in New York before I actually have like a mental breakdown, a relapse, check myself into like a mental health facility, nuke my life and throw all of my furniture out of the balcony, like mental breakdown, right? And I did the math on it and I was like, you know what? There's no way that I can actually spend the amount of time to fix these problems, because I'm going to break before that happens. So now I just have to leave and just ditch it all. And there's a part of me that I guess abstractly wishes that I had done the vibe check sooner, but also I wouldn't have, because I didn't have that. I didn't know that it mattered, right? I didn't know that was a thing that I needed to be responsible for. My understanding, again, the very New York mindset of like, just fucking keep your head down, show up to work, do your job, and then the NF will happen however it happens. I knew in 2014 that I was probably never going to be in the ensemble of a Broadway show. And I still think that. I think that is something that objectively will not happen for me in my life. I do not think I will ever be in the ensemble of a Broadway show. It is very possible that I will be the lead in a Broadway show if things happen out here and then I get called in to do a thing special in New York, but not as an ensemblist. But I sort of knew in 2014, I was like, this is not going to happen. But I was so committed to the ST mindset that I ignored the vibe check. And I was like, no, the ST playbook says, do this and this and this and this. I'm doing all of the things. And my dumbass mistake was that I went to all of my NF friends and asked them if I was doing it right. Which, again, weirdly, was the least helpful thing I could have done in retrospect, because they're all going to look at my ST and be like, oh my God, you are the only person doing the ST. Everyone else is fucking stuck in NF land. Of course you're going to make it because you're the only one doing the ST. But what they were saying is you are the only one doing my demons, not recognizing that and assuming that I had Savior NF and not Savior ST. What I should have done, Magical Christmas Land, is I should have gone to somebody who I recognized as being Savior ST, like me, and been like, listen, I've been doing all the ST. What the fuck is going on? And have that ST person go, you know what? Here's what you have to do. You have to vibe check. You got to like check in and make sure that your internal values still line up with this thing that you're continuing to put time and money and ST resources and effort into. Now, there was nobody in my circle that was Savior ST. Not a fucking one. In the arts community. Zero. Every single person in my bubble was Savior NF. 100%. And I think that that's just part of theater culture. Because the people who are ST burn out or tend to burn out really, really, really fucking quickly. Or they just don't go into it at all. Right? They'll just be like, hang on, this math doesn't work. Bye. And then they'll go into like arts administration or something like that. Right? But the reason I bring that particular anecdote up is that vibe check can take a number of different forms. And we're going to get to the one that was like very specific to the situation at hand that I talked about in the After Dark group. But it really can take, whether it is an internal vibe check, whether it's checking in with your partner, right? It can be this like, I have seen so many relationships, not just the ones on television, but like in real life, that I swear to God could have been maybe not saved, but we can at least make some headway by going, hey, babe, listen, I've been feeling a certain way about a thing, and I didn't want to like call it out right away because I wanted to make sure that it was a pattern and not an isolated incident. This happened a couple of times. And I want to draw it to your attention. This thing you do I am feeling a certain abstract way about the future of our relationship. And I don't know how to discuss it, but I feel like I need to bring it up because if I don't bring it up, I'm going to repress it and then it's going to fucking blow up and it's going to be terrible. Right? I'm not saying that that's going to solve the issue. But there is a version of that conversation that goes, NF feel I can't articulate, like I don't know how to ST, I don't know how to put my problem into ST terms. All I can do is vibe at you and help me solve this, help us solve this thing, right? And what I think that a good partner, whether that partner is male or female, should do is they're like, all right, great. I am not a great NFE person. This is not my forte. But here's what I can do. I can certainly hold space for you to figure out and to articulate what it is that's bothering you, right? And if there is anything I can do concretely to help, I am happy to try and do it. But I can't fix a problem if I don't know it exists. But I can certainly hold space and help you try and figure out what you're feeling and how I'm contributing to your unhappiness, because the last thing in the world that I want to do is contribute to your unhappiness, because what hurts you hurts me, because I'm not a fucking sociopath. Yeah, I am the person who does the vibe checking in 90% of my relationships. Whew, girl. Mm-hmm. It's weird. I don't think I was. Again, I have not had a ton of relationships, but it is something that I have noticed that one person will be doing the vibe checking and the other one won't. And it doesn't even mean that one person is, clearly the vibe checkers save your NF. That's not necessarily it. But overwhelmingly, one person will be the one who's like, hang on, there's an NF void happening. Sad feeling. There's a pocket of sad feelings. And they haven't gone away through the natural course of events over the past, couple of days or week. So like, hey, let's address this pocket of sadness. And as I talked about in, I don't know if it was on here or one of my other videos on my personal page, but I do the red, yellow, green thing where you can kind of see, right? You can kind of see the colors there. But I'll do the red, yellow, and green ish, where it's like green, the vibe is good. Red, I need healing, right? That's been my terminology for it, whether it is physical healing, emotional healing. It's just, I need healing. I'm not sad, like I'm not in a bad place. I just need healing, right? And that's sort of my way of attaching some sort of ST to this nebulous, abstract, NF-y feeling that I'm feeling. And again, that is a particular maybe manifestation of my NF sleep last, right? Maybe somebody who's an NF blaster or like an NF play lacy green type person might do something else. But for me, that has been my way of doing it. And it's been very helpful because now I can actually see the NF and the ST in equal measure, right? If I'm looking at this, little book, I can be like, okay, sure. We got a lot of green. But then on the 11th, it started off green and then went right to red. And then the night of the 11th was a red. And the all day 12 was a red. And then the morning of the 13th was, okay, now something is like not good. We are not in a good place because the kinks have not naturally worked themselves out. I now need to do something about this, right? And so I think that that's important for, whether you're Savior ST or Savior NF, recognize that there are just going to be rough patches. That is just how life works. You are not going to get perfect sleep all the time. It's just not going to happen. Your neighbors are not going to be perfectly quiet all of the time. Nervous, right? It's just not going to happen. But what's important to recognize is like, you have agency over both. Whether, for me as a Savior ST kind of person, I absolutely have agency over my NF inner world. It is not at the whims of my feelings of depression or anxiety. It's not at the whims of the outside world. Like, that's a thing that I can take control over, right? I got to acknowledge it, and maybe my process is going to take a little longer. It's going to have a little more ST and NT as a way to get to the NF rather than accessing it directly. But like, we can get there. We can fix the NF, by getting to it rather than working on this ST thing and hoping the NF vibe just like magically gets better, right? And on the flip side, if you're stuck in, a pocket of NF sadness, maybe that'll go away in a little bit through the natural course of events. But if it doesn't, put some ST to it. See if there's a way that you can sort of, bang the blocks together. And, for me, being able to see like, oh man, this is like the third day in a row that I haven't felt like I wanted to feel. Huh. Interesting. Okay. I got to do something about that. Right. And, that I think is where, and I'll sort of end on this, that is where I think the real interesting growth happens. That's where the real development happens. That's where the back and forth happens. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm not particularly interested in exploring this idea of like, well, if I'm having an NF bad day, then I need to stay there and fuck UST, right? I recognize that is hard, and it is hard even for me, for sure still. But like, the math of that is really, really clear, and there's nothing particularly uncertain, nebulous, whatever, about like the things that objectively work and have worked for lots and lots and lots of people. But when we're talking about this vibe check, again, whether it is a vibe check with your partner, a vibe check with a stranger that you happen to be sharing a sauna with at the gym at 7:45 in the morning, right? Maybe do a vibe check in the room before you whip out your dick in the middle of a sauna. That's all I'm saying. Maybe check the room, read the room, see if, right, the other people in the room are down with you beating your meat, right? You don't have to be like, hey, is it cool with you if I jerk off right now? Like, because I want to do that. So I would like to do that. So can I do that? Right? Okay, maybe not. Maybe that's not the best way to go about it. But like, maybe sort of lean back. Maybe just take in the room. Maybe open yourself. Because again, you're in the sauna. I do not expect you to wear a towel in this. Like, I expect you to put a towel on the seat so that you don't like get shit on the seat. But like, you don't have to cover up. Like, it's fine. Please, I am team dicks out when it comes to, the gym locker room. 100%. Like, fucking air it out. That's what we're all here for. That's what we're all here for. So like, I don't know, maybe lean back. Maybe just like alert the room to the presence of your penis. And then just chill there for a little bit. See if the other people pick up on it, right? Because if I'm into that, I happen to not be into that day, right? He caught me on an off day. There are days when I would not have minded even a little bit. It just happened to not be one of those days for me. Where are you going to go? Right? But that's a time when you're like, hey, what's up? Maybe try to make eye contact with me, right? Maybe a lip bite. I think a lip bite may be a little too far because now you're like coming on to me. You can't lead with the come on, but you can definitely make eye contact and be like, how's it going? Team Dicks Out, am I right? And then I will then respond to you with however I'm feeling about Team Dicks Out on that particular day, right? I can be like, yes, indeed, Team Dicks Out, my good man. And then we go back to our thing. And that's a signal to him to be like, got it. Team Dicks Out is fine, but maybe not Team Beat Your Meat. Cool. right? Now we're respecting boundaries. Now we're doing the thing, right? Or maybe I was like team dicks out, am I right? And then I could have sent him the signal like, I'll do you one better. How about team beat your meat, right? And he looks over at me and I start, giving a little tug. And now that's sending the signal to him that he can match my energy and we're doing the thing together, right? That's all I'm talking about. And as you get better at navigating this STNF coin, you'll be able to have those kinds of conversations much more fluidly. And it's a really important skill to have, to be able to, wife comes home from work and she's having a terrible day. I got to do a vibe check, right? And to be like, hey, honey, how's it going? And then depending on what her response is, that's a signal to me to be like, I think that this means that she just needs some time to cool off and wants to be left alone. Great. I'm going to check in with her in an hour and a half and go watch a movie. And then I come back out and I'm like, hey, babe, how you doing? And then if she's still a little agitated, then I can be like, if you want to talk about it, like, I'm here for you. I can give you space. Like, what do you need? Right? And being able to not lean so heavily into, well, she said that she was fine. And so therefore I don't have to do anything because if there was a problem, she would have told me. Motherfucker, she was telling you with her tone and her body language, right? And now it is on you to be like, what can I do to help? Again, assuming that you are in a position, that you're not having a rough day, but then maybe you're both having a rough day. Again, it's a conversation. It's going back and forth between the ST and the NF. And ultimately, a really healthy relationship, whether it is a long-term relationship in like a marriage or a short-term relationship in the sauna, in every situation, the more fluidly you can go back and forth between ST and NF, the easier it will be to navigate basically anything in life that you want to navigate. All right, that's all I got for today. Thank you for hanging out with me and for letting me tell that very, very dirty story. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye! Where's end stream? God, make this video end.